Hello and welcome back. We are going to be doing a starting steps video here as the Papal States in Victoria 3. We have a special idea for this run, or two ideas really. First of all, we are starting as the most holy Papal States. None of that. We're going to do the meme run, of course, of going atheism while we are playing as the Papal States, which is going to involve us moving off of theocracy. Unfortunately, it would be funny if you could be a theocratic atheism, but you cannot, because this disallows total separation and church and state. It also disallows the other one, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's bugged. It would be very exciting if it's bugged, because if it's bugged, we're going to go theocratic state atheism if we can. I assume it's not bugged, though. This is thing 1 of this run, and thing 2 of this run is Voltaire has this joke, and he has this joke about the Holy Roman Empire, that it's neither holy nor Roman. And so what we want to do is we want to avoid going a republic, because this will change us to the Roman Republic, if I am not mistaken, or this is what I've been told. We're going to avoid going a republic, and then, not being Roman, because we didn't go republic, we are going to look to subjugate all of Germany, break it up into as small pieces as possible, so that means releasing a ton of miners from Austria and Prussia, vassalize all of these, that way we will be neither holy nor Roman, and Voltaire will have his nightmares. So in addition to being a theocracy, which is kind of a unique thing as far as starts go, you also, in the Papal States, have a unique interest group in the Roman landowners who have the pontifical ideology, which makes them, support theocracy even over monarchy, which has been an interesting thing. Notably in here, they don't oppose state atheism, which is what we are going to be going. Also, they notably are the best religion at the start of the game. Now, I know what you might be saying. What are you talking about, Generalist? All the religions are the same. There's no unique bonuses. No, Catholic is the best religion at the start of the game, and the reason why is, in fact, a building that they start with here, and that is, taking a look, Vatican City. The only thing that directly references religion in this game in terms of a sort of bonus, you can, being a religion that helps you with discrimination against or against the same religion or pops from the same religion, and this is an aspect of religion you can evaluate. But the Vatican City unique building only is turned on if you are Catholic, and it gives plus 100 authority and plus 100 influence. However, by my understanding, I'm uncertain if this state religion modifier changes when we go atheist. So we might be Catholic atheists and still get authority from our Vatican City, which will now turn into our unholy capital of atheism. I'm very, very excited to figure this out, but these are kind of the unique features that you have, with specifically the Papal States. You also have the opportunity to form Italy. I'm not sure we're going to do this, but you can engage in the normal Italy unification stuff as well here in the Papal States. So it's time to do the whole slew of pre and pause actions. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to handle the influence. We're going to come into the diplomatic lens, and we are going to go diplomatic actions, go improve relations, and we are going to try to avoid getting our pie thumbed by both Austria, because we share an adjacency with them, and France. And if we had any additional, if we had an additional amount of influence, we would also do Great Britain, but we do not, so we will just keep on with that. Specifically, our first expansion spot is going to be Tuscany, or we're going to look to do it, but more on that later. Now, we have to spend all of the authority. It's important to note we do start out bolstering the Roman Curia, which I have a sneaking suspicion, and I could be wrong here. I think they're probably going to get in the way of us passing state atheism, so we will not want to bolster them, despite us getting a lot of legitimacy from them being in government, because we start out as a theocracy. In fact, I think we're going to bump off... oh, man, it's so tempting to stay on the theocracy to see if we can swap. Maybe we stay on theocracy for a hot minute, but we are going to reform to a more legitimate government, including the landowners in here, and we could go Intelligentsia, which is a little bit interesting. Normally, that's kind of hard to do, so let's get the Intelligentsia and the landowners in here, and we're going to look for a little bit of a law pass, and also coming off that, we also have an enormous amount of authority. Now, keeping in mind, a huge chunk of this is coming Vatican City in Lazio. we're getting plus 100 because we are Catholic and own the Vatican City. We're going to find a law that we want to pass, and then we will be back spending the rest of our authority. So it looks like we actually rolled a jingoist landowner at the start, which is generally speaking kind of ideal for almost every country because it allows you to push through laws you want. It normally allows you to push it through professional army, but I think we want the national militia for a hot minute because it's going to let us expand a little bit easier early on here before we start, having a larger standing army. But also, we are going to, what it allows the jingoist is it allows you to very easily pass colonial exploitation, so we're going to make use of that and go for colonial exploitation right now. Now, we have a huge amount of excess authority, and what we're going to do here is we are going to bolster a couple interest groups, or we're going to bolster one interest group, and that's the Industrialists. We want them to come up faster. In particular, their bonuses are really good. You're generally pushing production technology at the early on in the game, and also job creators is particularly good. It's extremely good, and so we will try and get these guys up faster, or as fast as we can. They should be cranking up pretty quick because we are moving the economy in their direction, but this is going to be one source of how we are spending our sort of authority. Now, we will also come in and do some decrees, and what we are going to do is we are going to do road maintenance in Romanga, and also in Romanga, what we will do is we will be encouraging the manufacturing industry, and we will be looking to build tall as far as manufacturing goes in Romanga. In previous runs, I've been building tall in the capital, but I've been noticing if you don't really have a large population, building tall in the capital, you struggle a bit because there's two other buildings you want to build tall in the capital, and that's government administrations and also the universities you want to build tall in the capital. That way you give 50% bonus clout to the Intelligentsia, and keeping that in mind, or like trying to balance that, usually you have labor shortages in the capital. So this, in Romanga, we are going to kind of set to be our early game manufacturing hub until we can get a place that, kind of looks better from the arable land count and can kind of host a larger population. We don't really have a lot of population at the start. With the Papal States, it's kind of a little bit of a rough spot. Now, normally we would also put in an edict to encourage the resource industry. However, we want to put it here because this is going to have this heaping level 60 iron mine in Tuscany when we take it, and we are going to look to specialize in the wood and the iron there specifically. Despite the fact that they have a lot of this going on at the very start, we are going to want to do that. So instead, we will devote the rest of this authority here to our consumption taxes, or at least a good chunk of it. Now, specifically, we are going to look to tax, we're not going to tax liquor, and the reason why is we want to tax more of our upper rung pops. We're not extracting a ton of money from them anyways. We might come back and tax liquor in a little bit, but for now we're going to tax services, and then we're going to tax all the luxury items, and then if we have any left over, we'll tax wine. Where is porcelain? Porcelain's not even on here. Let's do this. Let's tax wine. Do we have enough for meat? No, but if we do this, then we do have enough for meat. You gotta tax the meat. And so all of these are going to be taxing the upper rung pops. In particular, if we take a look at what their needs are, you see that a lot of them are in here, and if we taxed liquor, for example, we would lower our SOL quite a bit, which would hurt for migration, and we might be looking to get inside someone's market, maybe the Austrians, this sort of thing, and so this will help out. Notably, long-term, atheism is bad. And the reason it's bad is because it hurts your ability to attract migrants, but that is in the long term. In the short term, we can try and make good use of it, and we are overflowing authority, but it's a percentage-based overflow, and while 50 is a decent amount to overflow, it's only 4% a deficit, and so this will give us -0, paradox math, to our state interest group, oppo group approval, which is we're kind of fine with, and then we can fiddle around with our consumption taxes a little bit more, but the strategy is we want to tax the rich specifically. We'll leave this slider right here for now. We will probably slide it up to facilitate more construction later on, and we will probably slide the military wages up as soon as it makes it to the point where we can get to minor power. Actually, let's slide it up now. Getting to minor power will be an important threshold because, again, remember, we want to subjugate all these German miners. We need to be a minor power in order to subjugate insignificant powers, and so we'll just put this here to kind of help facilitate us moving in that direction in the near future here. We are going to make sure not to forget the fishes, which of course we can duplicate, by going fishing trawlers, and fishing trawlers is very important. Not only is it a better PM, but it allows us to shift immediately to privately owned, and this is going to be this trying to shift from being shopkeeper owned. Shopkeepers only contribute 5% of their dividends into the investment pool, to capitalist owned is going to be a huge feature of what we are trying to accomplish early game. And so early game, we are going to be going for sawmills specifically and boosting out the logging camps. And so this has kind of informed our queue. We are just building a couple construction centers into the tooling workshop here, and the tooling workshop will allow us to turn on the sawmills, and hopefully once, by the time we get this kind of rolling, we will have handled the Tuscany situation and be able to turn these tooling workshops in turn onto iron tools, which is going to make them, you know, owned by capitalists instead of currently they are merchant guild owned. So while the industrialists look very, very weak right now, they should have a bit of a quick come up and should help us to kind of, you know, get things through in an efficient way. So this is kind of what our building strategy is. What we are going to do, at least in the short term, is we are going to build manufacturing here, and then in the capital, we're going to build up the logging camps specifically, and this is mainly the feedback loop we're going to look for. We are going to build a couple iron mines here. That'll be fine, but it'll be, you know, iron mines, wood, and tools, and then eventually we get the iron mines here as well, and then we will branch out from more than just tools to consumer goods and stuff like this, but looking to, in particular, push economies of scale in all of these. So here we will be pushing the economies of scale of the iron mines, you know, until we run out of them. Here we will be pushing them in the tools, and here we will be pushing them in the wood. That way we get additional throughput, which is kind of just more goods for us to be using. For technology, it's pretty important that we get railway relatively early, because we have some, we don't have a lot of excess infrastructure overall with which to work in our areas which don't have any turmoil. So even if we conquer more areas, we still want to build in, you know, our core areas which don't have too much turmoil, at least early on, and we are going to run into infrastructure problems relatively early for these. And so as a result of this, we do want to kind of prioritize railroads a little bit, but before that, we're going to research empiricism. And I know what you're thinking, Generalist. Why empiricism? You see that? That's the state atheism symbol. So we're doing it because it's the theme of the run, but also it's not too bad. What it is going to do is it's going to give us extra education access per wealth, which is just a feature that is in here. I'm not sure if it's, yes, it does specifically mention it, but also I believe it will unlock our ability to get agitators that are going to be for the enactment of atheism. I'm not sure if they're gated behind this technology, but it would not surprise me if they were gated behind this technology, and that's going to be the plan for that. Longer term, we maybe want to get into a customs union with Austria and France, but not for a super long term. We do want to swap up to and start doing some trade. We are going to want to get cannons from someone and then swap over to this, but I don't think we want to swap over now. I think we can manage Tuscany with what we have. They don't have a particularly large military, and so we will look to pick up Tuscany, and then also in the queue sometime when it's looking like we're about to get Tuscany, we are going to add a single, that is one, we are going to add one naval base. We'll just add that now to the queue, because we have a plan for expanding with only one boat that does not involve us expanding in Italy here. Okay, so because we're super lucky and handsome and not God is on our side, we just managed to bink probably the best sort of event we could get on colonial exploitation in terms of the tick, which is the popular playwright endorses reform. One of the reasons for this is, if we take a look, we're an insignificant power. We can't do very many things, but we can get plus 20 prestige. Our current prestige, I said our current prestige is so low. Where are we even on this map? Let's take a look. Let's sort by prestige. Why don't we sort by, you know, negative prestige? Oh my god, I can't handle this game. Where are we? We're not going to be that high, so we're just kind of coming in through here. We're ranked 54, so I guess we are a little high. We have a prestige of 22. This event's going to give us plus 20. Now, I'm not that good at math, but that seems like at least triple. And so we're going to click that, and I believe that will kick us up to being, yep, we are now a minor power just off of the back of that event. We also, of course, are about to start a little bit of a fight here. We are looking to, we were looking to defend the front, but we've mobilized fast enough that I think that we can just push straight away. And we also started improving relations with the two Sicilies, because we would prefer that they don't stick their finger in our pie. This is a preference. So because we became a minor power, we can now declare an interest. We couldn't as an insignificant one, and we are going to put one in Arabia, because we're all about them knights, yo. We bumped the naval base in Lazio up above the tooling workshop, because we're going to need a bigger boat, and by a bigger boat, I mean we don't have a boat right now, so we need a boat. We need a boat. We just need one. Okay, so we know we want to pass the corn laws later, and so what we're going to do right now is we are going to protect domestic supply on grain, and then we are going to look to import from anyone who is productive from. We might run a little bit negative bureaucracy, but the whole point of what we're going to be doing, usually the UK is pretty good, but it's not looking too hot. That's a bit interesting. Maybe one was accidentally built, but the whole point is we are going to import a whole ton and depress the price of grain as much as possible. And then when we get rid of all of our importing, what we will be able to do is increase the price of grain by a lot, which will allow us to do the Corn Laws event chain, which is still really important because this will allow us to get a market liberal landowner once we're kind of done with this jingoist helping us pass colonial exploitation. We want a market liberal because the market liberal is going to allow us to, you know, reform our economy and switch off of traditionalism here, which is big bad, big sad. We got a petition, and what do you know? The Roman landowners want us to pass colonial exploitation, which we are already almost past. So we'll get right on that, my guys. We'll see what we can do. You see that? That says we'll see what we can do. No promises, but we'll see. We'll see. We're also going to cancel some of these routes here. We don't want to be exporting our luxury goods. We have a couple, you know, fine art things, but we don't want them to be profitable enough to want to expand, and we don't want to import luxury goods because we are going to want to eventually have those industries themselves. This refunds us some bureaucracy, which we're going to use to import either grain or fabric. They got our shift started, and the guy figured out how to win a battle here, despite, you know, still having this low, and we get colonial exploitation. We fulfilled the government petition. This guy's looking for peace. I'm sure it's a white peace, so we're not going to give it to him. We're going to look to annex him, despite, you know, having some problems here. And we enforce. Beautiful. Was never a close battle. Was never a close thing we almost lost. None of that happened. It's not real. It can't hurt us. And we have these 7 iron mines and these 3 logging camps here, which is super big nice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of some of these consumption taxes, and by some I mean just this one specifically, and we're going to put in a decree here for encourage the resource industry, which should allow these to get employed up. We will also come in and we're not going to come in there, we're going to come in here, and we're going to swap to iron frame buildings. This will be a bit expensive, and then we're going to explain why we, you know, put an interest in Arabia of all places. We're going to come in, we're going to recruit an admiral, and we see, hey, we have exactly 1 flotilla here. And that 1 flotilla is really important because let's take a look at Mara. Let's take a look. I said let's take a look. I said let's take a look. They have no battalions. 0 battalions and 0 navy, which means just with this one, we can land into them, and then we can subjugate with land battles over here because people won't want to play too nice, or yeah, people are going to be mad that we took Tuscany. And so they're not going to let us expand more over here. And so instead we'll expand over here, looking to puppet Oman after we go after Mahara, which is the kind of crux of this strategy. Bahrain is much better in the long term, which also has 0 flotillas. But this will allow us to, you know, push all the way into here where we can hopefully pick up a little bit of coal. I don't quite remember if there is some coal in here, but coal is a resource we completely lack. And so we'll be going after Mara here next. We're going to look to use our jingoist landowner while we can to pass professional army relatively easy, and this will also make him happier, which in turn will help us to kind of pass stuff he's not going to like, which we're going to look to do, you know, to kind of kneecap him a little bit. If we were to not kind of be in this spot, what we would probably go to is for eliminating local police force, instead going to dedicated police. But in the short term, local police force is actually a little bit better because it's getting minus state penalties from turmoil, There is some turmoil here, you know, in Tuscany, because we just conquered them. We want to incorporate them. We're going to look to try and get a little bit more bureaucracy to facilitate that. But this is going to slow down construction. We want to kind of get to the point where we can build here nicely in the near future. And so we're going to make this swap now. We're not going to build that port, though. So that'll be good. We get a little rousing speech. We, of course, will choose the enactment chance over, you know, boosting up the Roman landowners, and so this will be nice. Professional army will come through pretty quickly, but we also just finished our first tooling workshop, and so what we are going to do is, first of all, on the tooling workshop, we're going to switch to wrought iron tools. Again, this will switch us to privately owned. We want the Industrialists to have a come up. These guys support the Industrialists on top of being better for the investment pool transfer, and so this will help out. We are also going to go filing cabinets everywhere, which is going to help us to integrate here in Tuscany, which is what we are also going to do. And we are also going to swap these on over to using tools to create demand for tools, and also it's a huge efficiency boost, and also swaps them to bring privately owned, which is going to have a huge impact on our Industrialists. They will probably demarginalize relatively soon, and then we can look at to move and shake them into the government. You know, we could actually just take an unpause and take a quick look. This will also, you know, kind of help to, we created a little bit more demand for iron. Currently, there's not a huge demand for iron. We unlock empiricism, which is big nice. We're also going to come in here and we're going to navally invade in Mara. Again, we can land with just one boat because they have no boats and they have no army, so none of it matters. We are kind of building a little bit more of this stuff. This is now employing up. It's kind of profitable. It's actually, we're running a shortage, and now the tools are supported, and so things are coming along quite nicely. And let's take a look at these Industrialists. Still haven't budged. Let's wait for the Monday morning tick, and they're starting to come on up here, you know, moving a few fractions of a percent, and they will continue to climb as, you know, we kind of get more capitalists and such. As this war continues, we are also keeping an eye on which customs unions we can potentially join. Once this war concludes, we will be able to do a very, very nice war, and that is going for puppeting Oman. And the reason why this is so nice is because if we can puppet Oman, we will get native interests in 3 regions. We will get an interest down here in Zanj. We will have a native interest here, which we already have, so maybe that's not the best example. And we'll also get a native interest up here, and we'll also be able to annex them later and then look to conquer up into this way. Again, we only have one boat. We only need one boat. That's it. It's just us and our boat against the world. We are trying to pass here dedicated police force, and so we are taking the Roman landowners out of government so they don't get in our way as much. And since we have passed, we didn't click confirm, so, and since we didn't, you know, do too much to upset them, we still have them as super happy with them. We've passed 2 laws that they like, and we are just going to swap over the government to this. That way, again, they don't get in the way, and so hopefully we can try and push something through. We don't have any stall chance. The debate chance is, normally if they're in government, we would have stall chance, and so now we don't have stall chance off of it. Also, an update here, the Industrialists just managed to become, you know, powerful here, and so we will be looking to get off of traditionalism kind of somewhat soonish. Maybe we don't even try and go through dedicated police force, and we instead try and provoke the Corn Laws event by canceling our grain imports and then starting to export grain specifically. We're going to take a look at this, and maybe we do this instead of dedicated police force to look to get ourselves a market liberal landowner so that, you know, we can get off of this a bit more comfortably. Although it looks like we could pass interventionism a little bit easy, and so maybe we'll just pass interventionism rather than looking to go for the straight laissez-faire. It looks like maybe that wouldn't be too hard either. We'll take a look and we'll take a bit of a consideration, but we might not do this dedicated police force. I might be a liar. Also, this is starting to become a little bit concerning. Normally you don't care too much about interest if you're recognized, but we're still a minor power. Interest is pretty expensive, and we're going to look to reel this back in. Hopefully we can build into it. I'm hoping we can build into it, but if it starts to get close to, you know, a third of our credit line, we are going to delete a little bit of construction in order to kind of make this work as best we can. So we are starting to try and run a little bit more trade with Austria because eventually we will be wanting to join their market. I think for a short little stint before leaving their market and becoming our own market. Also, they will protect us / help us in fights, and so this will help out. We're decided to stay on dedicated police force because we rolled a plus 20% success chance event, and so I think this will kind of help / be easy. And again, to try and make Austria happier with us, we're importing more grain, and once we cancel these routes and put export prioritization on grain specifically, this will help us to increase the price of grain high enough that we can provoke the Corn Laws event, and we will do that once we finish trying to enact dedicated police force, or maybe when we get around to voting. That way we can try and push through the economic laws relatively quickly. Maybe this is a little bit of a mistake that we're kind of trying to pass dedicated police force, but I think it's going to be important, and for trying to get the Curia / landowners out, trying to come off of theocracy here, which is going to be a little bit difficult. Also, still looking around for agitators. Unfortunately, this guy's here, to try and pass state atheism. Haven't seen one yet. We will just exile this guy when that becomes a thing, and invite the new boyo. We also want to keep the price of tools high in our market. That way we can specialize in tools, and so we're going to continue to increase more trade routes by exporting tools to Austria. This in turn will allow us to build our tooling workshops specifically higher, and have them still be profitable, and also increase the investment pool transfer, which is a function of these dividends. Now, right now, investment pool transfer is booty because we're on traditionalism. We probably have a pretty big here already kind of built up, and so we do want to come off of this as quickly as we can once we get dedicated police force. I think maybe it's worth waiting for dedicated police force, but I'm not entirely sure. Also, the war in Oman's going pretty good, at least for us, and so we will be getting them shortly and kind of showing why this is such a nice little thing. You see that there? That's a land bridge, because somehow you can go from Mahara all the way to Majertine, and this expansion has been overseas, and it's been facilitated by a single boat, which has allowed us to kind of do this. We also, just puppeted Oman, and Oman specifically is getting us native interests coming and taking a look here. We have native interests kind of coming in on both Persia and Zanj, and so this is going to be nice. Also, once we annex Oman, which will be easy, we will be able to colonize in through here and kind of increase our Congo share. When we kind of conquer through this route here, we're going to be able to colonize over here. And so despite the fact that we've been cut off from Kenya, which is, by the way, I'm devastated, it's big sad, this expansion route has facilitated us to be able to expand a lot. Our infamy is still really low, but we've been making moves that are going to kind of help us in the future, and allow us to have better expansion while, not pissing anyone off in this region. Next episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting to get into this Ethiopia region. We're concluding this episode right now, and we are also going to be, putting the landowners back in government, despite the fact that we haven't passed a law yet. And once we put them back in government, we will look to provoke the Corn Laws event by coming in here and... you see, our grain price has to be plus 25%, but it's going to be real easy for us to get it to plus 25% because looking at our trade routes here, we have a bunch of grain we're currently importing. All we need to do is just nuke these grain routes and then put in export routes. This will make our pops big sad, so that'll be unfortunate, but it will help us to get a market liberal leader instead of a jingoist leader who will in turn want to help us pass, we're going to go laissez-faire probably. It's a little bit rough with this level of construction, but we will be kind of letting Jesus take the wheel. That is up until the point we come off of theocracy and state religion and instead go state atheism and look to let the auto queue kind of build a lot. We have a huge amount of investment pool built up, and so if we go laissez-faire, we can just crank up construction and just kind of unleash it and look to stimulate the economy a whole lot from there. But that will be this episode, that'll be next episode. This episode we've done our starting steps, which has included, kind of our early building, kind of focusing on tools here, encouraging manufacturing here, here and encouraging resource industries here, going for Tuscany first into this, I forget the name of the country we conquered, this sort of plan over here, which only requires us to gum up our queue with only one boat being built, and also kind of preps us for the future to be able to colonize through here and through here, while we kind of cement our minor power status and look to, after this, kind of go after German miners. I believe we are going to need a little bit bigger a navy in order to do that. We'll probably need we might even need a 5-stack or this type of thing to land these guys over here. They're a little bit sticky. They have a decent amount of navy. Their infrastructure isn't too large, so the combat width isn't too big. And so getting in on Lubeck is actually quite difficult. And Lubeck, I believe, is the weakest one. And so we would need a bigger navy to be able to vassalize these guys. But we'll settle for this for now. We'll probably grab Bahrain. We'll probably go after Brunei. These types of battles as we look to eventually kind of wind this number up. But first, we're going to look to stimulate the economy. If you like this video, feel free to like it. Wait, that makes sense. And if you want to see more of our atheist Pope run, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you will see more of it as we descend into unholiness and or madness. Other than that, have a good day.